Thank you very much, Bernie and Chris and Jeff. Thank you. Really appreciate the work you've done on this. You know, there's a question that America has to face, and it is about the role of humanitarian considerations in the conduct of our foreign policy. The argument is being made against injecting what clearly is a concern for the humanitarian catastrophe that is now continuing in Gaza, as to whether the long-term commitment that the United States has had to Israel as a Jewish and democratic state can coexist with that. All of us here support Israel as a Jewish and democratic state. All of us here believe in the two-state solution. All of us believe that the relationship we've had with Israel is special. And all of us here are appalled at what Hamas did to slaughter 1,200 innocent Israelis. And all of us here support the right of Israel to defend itself. But what has unfolded in the name of that defense is the loss of 43,000 and rising Palestinians, many of whom are women and children and non-combatants, not at all connected to Hamas. What has happened is over 100,000 children and innocent bystanders have been severely injured, including amputation. And what's unfolding before our very eyes right now is mass starvation and the spread of disease. Is the United States in its foreign policy, with that commitment we've had to Israel, forced to be blind to the suffering before our very eyes, particularly when it's our munitions that are being used? Should we be blind to the suffering of those Palestinian women and children when top military officials in Israel themselves have said that there's no further military purpose for continued bombing and military activity in Gaza? Our view is no, that the humanitarian considerations are important. It's consistent with the Leahy Law, and we should enforce it. It's consistent with humanitarian international law, where the power that is occupying or in control has an obligation to facilitate, not impede, the delivery of life-saving aid. So I stand here as a person who believes that there's no inconsistency with the United States asserting conditions on aid that are consistent with our commitment to our own policies, a two-state solution, the enforcement of the Leahy Law, the enforcement of international law. You know, when I think about the conflict that the United States had with Russia for so long, the Soviet Union, there are many historians who think one of the most significant components of what made us so successful was our civil rights movement, the commitment that was on display to the people around the world of our struggle to try to broaden the reach of civil rights for every person. Isn't that the same situation we face, where we have before us every single day evidence of more suffering of women and children in a situation where there's no military purpose to be served by the continuation of using our weapons, and where it's in total conflict with us having any chance of achieving a two-state solution, and where the result of this activity is escalation in Lebanon, escalation even in Syria, and the rising violence in the West Bank, and where politicians in Israel, including Netanyahu and many others who support him, are talking about annexing the West Bank and completely and utterly turning their back on a two-state solution. This is very important for Congress to act. And it's an action that's consistent with the long-term commitment we've had to Israel's security, and it's a commitment that should be a long-term commitment we have to the inclusion of humanitarian considerations in our foreign policy. Thank you.